A fencing World Cup in France was cancelled on Friday after the international governing body voted to let Russians compete. The French Fencing Federation said it would not host the men's challenge Mondial Épée tournament near Paris in May.
Here's a summary of the article.
Paris, a fencing World Cup in France was cancelled on Friday after the international governing body voted to let Russians compete. The French Fencing Federation said it would not host the men's challenge Mondial Épée tournament near Paris in May following the International Fencing Federation's decision this month to end the year-long exclusion of competitors from Russia and its ally Belarus due to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The decision led to a backlash when more than 300 fencers signed a letter of protest and the organizers of another World Cup in Germany withdrew as hosts. Organizers of an upcoming competition in Poland have said they will demand Russians and Belarusians sign a statement saying they do not support the war. The FIA voted to readmit Russians and Belarusians at events from mid-April, even before the International Olympic Committee said on Tuesday it wants sports to allow them to compete again as neutral athletes, as qualification for next year's Paris Olympics ramps up. Advertisement. Fencing is an influential sport in Olympic circles. IOC President Thomas Bach is a former fencer who won gold at the 1976 Olympics.
This post received a score of 35,000, with an upvote ratio of 94%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Billionaire Russian businessman Alisher Usmanov has been the FI president since 2008. The president and present members page has been wiped clean.
Does the international governing body still get their bribe money, though?
LPT never do shit for criminals without getting paid first.
LPT never do shit for criminals. LPT never do shit.
LPT never shit.
SLPT, always shit.
The true LPT is always in the comments.
The French are gold medalists at telling other countries to unequivocally fuck off, and I appreciate that.
Also, sporting events are an effective way of pressuring other countries. Countries like Russia value being seen as ballet, chess, Olympic powerhouses. Taking the ability to compete away from them really makes their citizens start questioning the governor.
Kicking apartheid South Africa out of international sporting events was legitimately a very effective sanction and one of the forces that helped drive sentiment against apartheid by white people in the country. It was also very effective in integrating college sports during the U.S. Civil Rights era. Bear Bryant, legendary coach of the all-white University of Alabama, purposely scheduled a game on national television against the integrated University of Southern California, knowing Alabama was no match in terms of talent pool. Link, for a lot of Southerners who'd only ever watched college football in person, seeing Alabama get absolutely destroyed by an integrated team made people rethink things. My white father played basketball for Auburn during this era, with and against some of the first black athletes in the Southeastern Conference.
I read Bryant's biography years ago, and I gathered the impression he was a poor kid before a white kid, and he grew up with that same mentality. Also humble enough to acknowledge when he fucked up, though he might not admit it right away.
I've always respected the French people for responding to unpopular policy by burning everything in sight until it goes away. Guess I can add the Fencing Federation to that rather marvelous group.
As a fencer, burn it the fuck down.
Rightly so. IOC take note.
Nah, we take money instead. IOC.
Banknotes are a kind of note.
Not that kind.
Will you accept a note from my mum that says I don't have to do P.E.?
Good for France.
France been hitting so many W's lately, the protests to stand up to their government and now this, I've got mad respect for them.
As much as I like to shit on France, they're a better place than most and their people are even better.
They're a lot more like us than our unrealistic cliches would suggest. French workers work more hours and for less pay than Germans, but Americans have some idea of the French being lazy and ungrateful, while the Germans are supposedly industrious and shrewd by comparison. The reality is that both have great workforces, but for whatever reason we have bizarre misconceptions about France specifically. France is far from perfect as a country, but I have more faith in the French people to stand up for themselves against exploitation than just about anyone.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.